Hi everyone, welcome back to The Shelves Have Eyes. I'm Phantom, and today we will be doing an unboxing and review of Darkwing and Dreadwind to continue our Valentine's Day celebration of inseparable Transformer partners, but not conjunx endura, to my knowledge. Well, these are a blast from the past. These are Power of the Primes figures. Darkwing has been renamed Blackwing, and Dreadwind is back to being his original name. Their names were subject to copyright issues, trademark issues, ever since G1, so various toys have been labeled different names. Sometimes one of them would appear and they would be given the name Dreadwind. Sometimes both of them would appear and their names were changed accordingly. They have not made an appearance as Darkwing and Dreadwind since G1. So right now we have Blackwing and Dreadwind. As Power of the Primes figures, much like the Combiner Wars line before it, these figures can link up modularly with any Power of the Primes Combiner Wars Voyager class figure in order to make a super robot. But I'm not exactly certain who this super robot, what faction they are supposed to be a part of in order to transform into a super robot. As was the case with a lot of toys in the Power of the Primes line, there's a big question. They weren't part of any particular faction or group, and yet they still contain the combination equipment necessary. So it might be a weird situation like Galvatron Maximus or whatever that was Cyclonus as the head and various different mismatched pieces as limbs. Or Skylynx, which is Sky Rain when he is transformed with a particular set of Autobots. For the purposes of this review, I'm just going to sidestep the fact that they are combiner pieces, limbs, other than for their attachments. Looking at the packaging here, we have standard Power of the Primes packaging. Very nice artistic renderings of the two characters on the box art. On the back, they show them in robot mode and vehicle mode, and they try to show off this Power of the Primes thing, which I never really understood and never really got into. It's important to note that these two figures are actually redecos, or retooling, and repaints of two of the aerial bots. Skydive and Air Raid, I think? I can't remember. Let's take a look and see what's what, shall we?
New Powermasters are here. Amazing new Transformers called Powermasters.
Their engine's the key that unlocks their Transformer energy.
Incredible Powermasters. They only transform when their Nebulon becomes their engine.
Powermaster Transformers!
Decepticon Powermasters transform! And the Decepticons unlock their Transformer energy.
Powermaster Transformers! They've got the power to surprise!
So here they are out of their package. They each come with a Powermaster armor, I guess you would say, or a Power of the Prime armor, which I guess in a sneaky way is kind of like a Powermaster engine that can clip to them either in vehicle mode or robot mode. I like the difference in coloration. Apparently these are only hands, not feet. But in any case, I like them. I particularly like Dreadwind. I like the colors. Darkwing is okay. They also each come with cards. Now, I'm going to confess my ignorance of Power of the Primes as a toy line, because on the back, they have particular Prime Master powers that are highlighted here. So it's Onyx Prime Blackwing and Alpha Trion Dreadwind. Now, I know that there are a lot of different Prime Masters that they could use, so were these cards randomized in packaging? Like, if I bought two Dreadwinds, would they have different Prime distinctions on the back of their cards? I don't know. I know that supposedly each Prime that you attach to them unlocks a power, not in real life, but for play. But I confess that I don't actually know what this is. So looking at them, they're fairly reasonable facsimiles of their original G1 toys. I owned the original toys. I can't remember if they had lights and sound, but if they did, mine never made lights and sound. I had them both because I remember as a kid finding Darkwing at a yard sale and doing everything within my power to find a Dreadwind, because the original toys in vehicle mode would connect in the center. You would flip the nose cone of Dreadwind up and you would flip the back of Darkwing forward, and then you connected them and they formed a super jet, which in G1 was called Dreadwing. So let's make this even more confusing, because there have been a lot of figures since then with the name Dreadwing. Famously, G2. Transformers Generation 2 toy line had a stealth bomber that was called Dreadwing, and it had a smaller jet that fit on the inside of it, so you could make it into a super jet in much the same way. So that was essentially the spiritual successor to these particular characters in G1. I myself always preferred that stealth bomber toy mold to be what it was originally meant to be, which was Megatron, with Starscream that fit inside of him to make a super tank jet thing. I know that prototypes were made of it because I had one. I think I still have it. I have the original prototype one with the tech specs instructions that say Megatron and Starscream. But I also remember buying at Toys R Us the original Dreadwing figure. So the name thing gets very confusing, especially now that he is now named Blackwing. I think his alternate titles have also been Black Jack, which is also the name of the Micromaster. But in any case, these characters really have not gotten a lot of due toy-wise, especially not in original molds like they did in G1. Since G1, they had toys in the Universe or Generations line where Darkwing was a redeco of Silverbolt. He was a redeco of Silverbolt. And Dreadwing was a repaint of Jetfire, but only for a convention exclusive for BotCon 2007. And that was it. They never appeared again until Power of the Primes. And I hear tell that these two figures can also connect to form a superjet of some sort. Looking at them here, I have to say I like them. They are the limitations of them being redecos of previously existing Combiner Wars toys kind of works against them. I like all of the pieces on them that give them character. I like their new heads. I love the decos. The paint colors are great on these, really recapturing that late 80s teal and purple look that the original figures had. But I can't really help but see the fact that these are aerial bots. Their legs... Power of the Primes toys are invariably a concession because they need to combine. They all have this combining chest plate that allows them to become limbs for a Voyager-class torso, and I think that is to these toys' detriment. I like them. I think they look really nice, but I don't think that being part of the Power of the Primes line is not really working for these guys. It's not working in their favor at all. I have to say, though, I do like the fact that their limbs, in this case their hands, do kind of continue on in that Powermaster vein that their original toys had. You can see here they've got flip down paneling, and you can affix Well, I don't know about this one, because that's, whatever that is, that's not really affixing very well. Is this supposed to go down? Oh, it is supposed to go down. Okay. Just have to force it a little bit. I don't like the cheapness of this plastic. But it's got kind of their versions of a Powermaster upgrade. Instead of putting throttle and high test into the Powermaster sockets, you can put these weird bare belly chest plate armors on them. I don't really think that it's necessary. It doesn't make them look really any better. It makes them look, frankly, more ridiculous than they did before. But it's nice that Hasbro at least allowed that to move forward. Oh, I'm worried about this panel, though. This really is very... I don't think I'm going to be doing that a lot.
After a series of startling defeats at the hands of the Decepticons, the Autobots create a new breed of Transformers.
They look human. They look human, but they're pretenders.
Pretender Transformers.
Pretenders hide the Transformers inside.
The Decepticons have their own pretenders, strange and terrifying.
Pretender Transformers. They've got the power to surprise.
Battle of the Pretenders, new from Marvel Comics.
So let's look at the figures individually, shall we? Let's start with Darkwing, or Blackwing. He's good. His proportions are very strange. He's very spindly. And his head actually keeps popping out of the piece that is supposed to go flush with the connection pylon rod that flips. So he always kind of looks like his head is popping off his shoulders. It's okay. I miss the chunkiness of the G1 toy, but I mean, for this particular kind of character, how often are you ever going to see figures of this character or these characters? So I'll take what I can get at this point. Like all Combiner Wars Power of the Primes figures, he's riddled with standard joints. His elbows are standard joints. His knees are standard joints. He does have rotation, courtesy of cylindrical connector pieces for his upper arm and his thigh. The rest of him is on ball joints. Because of the way that this was designed, he cannot actually really do a split. It rubs up against the top of his waist piece. But no matter what, he still has a pretty good range of motion. These are mint in box, were mint in box until I just opened them. So they do have very stiff standard joints. These have not loosened yet, thank God. But the Combiner Wars Power of the Primes legs are definitely still not great. This clipping together is very similar to the Battle Chargers. I mean, admittedly, 2 lines afterwards. And I think the Battle Chargers did it better than this. He also still has a tendency to flip more forward than he does back. So there's a little bit more give. All told, though, he's remarkably posable. It's nice to have a version of this character that is so posable. I'm not sure if these guns are supposed to go in his arms or in his hands. I can't remember if the original toy was like a Proto-Seeker, or rather a Seeker Light, or not. I suppose you could do either with this figure. His wings are very flimsy. They wiggle back and forth a lot because they are on ball joints. And like I said, this head issue is pretty egregious. All told, his head looks a little weird, but you know, I mean, it's an okay likeness. I really do like the coloration though. For Dreadwind, I have slightly less issues, I guess. Mainly because I think this one, as a repaint and redeco of a different aerial bot, he seems a little bit more sturdy. He doesn't look as spindly and weird. His proportions are a little bit better. He's got worse legs, though. These legs are... I just took them out of the box, and these are floppy as all get out. Floppy as all get out. and the connector piece that clips his leg together into this, the pin that connects into this stability piece is very, I don't know, loose. It comes apart really easily. Also, his arms come out, but that's neither here nor there. But it is a failing of the fact that these are not pinned standard joints. They are faux ratchet standard joints. And as such, if you push it the wrong way or put a little bit too much effort into it, it really locks in a straight position. So unless you're like really careful when you break it out of that, you'll pop the whole arm out. Which I did, taking him out of the packaging. Exact same rules apply. His range of motion is very good. Still can't do a full split. I like the way they've integrated some of this kibble, though. It's interesting. It gives him a little bit more balance, giving you a wider range of posability. Also, his head is actually connected to this central piece. So unlike Darkwing, where his head continuously pops off and it looks like his neck is super long, Dreadwind is actually correct. He looks normal. His neck is flush. Actually, this head would be a good candidate for a repaint as Croc of the Scavengers from IDW, but I digress. All told, they're very nice figures. I'm not going to take anything away from them because they are Power of the Primes. It's nice to have these characters again, but concessions are just all I see. I'm sorry. So, now that we've gone over the robot modes, how about we transform these guys and take a look at their vehicle modes. So here they are, fully transformed. Like their robot modes, all I'm seeing is concessions. They look okay. Both of their heads have to be flipped around. There's no hiding the fact that they've just got arms and hands here on the bottom. Their tops look okay. I mean, I don't think it's really anything to write home about. But they look fine. They look fine. I mean, they're close approximations of what their G1 toys looked like. Dreadwind actually, you know, just like the figure itself, is a much better representation of the character, simply because the wing segments flip up to hide more of the kibble, hide more of the arms and legs. I mean, you do get more of the arms down here than you do with Darkwing, but it looks slightly better. I'll hold out hope that with all of the obscure figures that they're doing for Age of the Primes, that maybe we'll get some kind of combination of figure for these guys. I like the colorations. Transformation is fine. The colors and the paint decos really pop very well. You just can't hide the bottom. Now, as part of the... I'm not sure where this gun is supposed to go on him. I guess it goes on one of his wings, not both of his wings. I don't know. I can't remember if the G1 toy was asymmetrical like this as well. But, just like that, you can also combine these into absolutely ridiculous looking backpacks that really would not help the aerodynamic profile of either of them. But you could do it. You could do it. I don't think I'll ever do it again, but it's something that they gave you the option of doing. Without further ado, let us take a look and see if we can combine these figures. Shall we? How do you hide Darkwing's head, though? That's what I'm wondering. You can't affix there, and if the back of him flips backwards like this, how do you hide that? how it's supposed to go? If so, this is not a very good combined mode. I mean, it looks nothing like their combined mode did in G1. Not that their combined mode in G1 was great either, but I don't know, something about this doesn't look right. This is a weird assemblage of characters here. I just looked at the instructions to see if they gave you any kind of instruction for how to combine these two. And this is the combination that they suggest. Grimlock is the torso, Jazz is an arm, Slug is an arm, Swoop is a foot, and Dreadwind is the other foot. Doesn't make any sense. Wait a minute. Let's see what cockamamie combination they want for Darkwing. They want Hunger as the main piece, Dreadwind as an arm, Sinner Twin as an arm, Blackwing as a leg, and Ripper Snapper as another leg. Okay, so this at least has both Blackwing and Dreadwind, or Darkwing and Dreadwind, together in the same combiner. That's a weird combination of half Terracon, half... Anyway, this does give you instructions. So it looks like... Okay, so it looks like you kind of make a dragon fly. That doesn't make any sense, but okay. Yeah, this is really weird instructions. Flip the wings back. I had the head right. Ah, it's so weird. Okay. Okay, well, as lackluster as this ends up looking, this is essentially what they want you to do, which is very strange because that means that the paint applications on Dreadwind's wings don't show up in the combined mode. That's kind of weird. They should definitely. Nope, that's definitely the way that they show it. So no, this, according to the instructions, this is the way it's supposed to transform. Yeah, sure. This is, it's definitely an interesting form, let's just say. I think, if anything, we would move these guns from Darkwing's arms, which were underneath his wings in his jet mode, and put them on Dreadwind's wings. I guess that makes more of a super jet. I think they're grasping at straws here. I really do. This, as weird as the original G1 combined mode was, this is even weirder. But this is the Hasbro approved way of doing it, according to the instructions. So let's just roll with it, shall we? Yeah, it's nice to see that they took the concept and tried to do something with it and tried to include such obscure characters as Darkwing and Dreadwind in the Power of the Primes. I wouldn't necessarily say that this is a great representation, but it's important to note that we got this representation. So I'm happy that they appear in this line and that they were given a new toy with greater articulation. I'm sorry that they are Power of the Prime Combiner Wars figures rather than original molds. I'm sorry that this did not appear in Legacy, Legacy United, Legacy Evolution, or Age of the Primes, but maybe someday we'll get a proper combination form. I mean, it really wouldn't take that much. Dreadwind would just need to be a redeco of Silverbolt from Age of the Primes. And then they would just, I mean, kind of like Nexus Prime, they would just need to build a separate, out of the huge back end of Silverbolt's Concorde vehicle mode, they would just need to make another jet that could transform into, it would really be that simple. I'm surprised actually a third party hasn't done it yet. But then again, you would need the redeco of Silverbolt into Dreadwind and even to even consider that. It's okay. It's interesting. And I mean, you know, inseparable pairs. That's what these videos have been about. Inseparable pairs. You cannot have, well, I suppose the comics showed us you can, but usually you don't have Darkwing without Dreadwind, and you don't have Dreadwind without Darkwing. And then sometimes they're just rolled into one figure or character called Dreadwing. So, whatever. It's interesting. This is interesting. I guess I like the idea of it. And if it was executed better, I would really like this, actually. But it's okay. That's all I got to say about it. Darkwing and Dreadwind are two peas in a pod, two pessimistic, irascible, doom and gloom partners thrust into a universe intolerant of their particular brand of existential paranoia. The pair are target masters in G1, and thus are binary bonded to Nebulon partners Throttle and High Test. However, they can combine their vehicle modes to become a superjet called Dreadwing. Darkwing and Dreadwind first appeared in the Marvel G1 comic issue number 41 that showed the return of Optimus Prime as a Powermaster. The pair attacked Nebulos following the Headmasters miniseries that showed the rise and subsequent departure of future Decepticon leader Scorponok. The Nebulons, eager to forestall another invasion, had poisoned their energy sources to prevent Cybertronians from gaining sustenance. The duo laughed at what was presumed to be an empty threat, and were soon at death's door. At that point, High Test, understudy of Nebulon High Scientist High Q, stole the Powermaster technology from his master and joined with Thief Throttle to combine with the ailing Decepticons. After becoming Powermasters, Dreadwing and Darkwind caused massive public destruction to allow their binary bonded partners to gorge themselves on food and drink in order to continue fueling their nefarious deeds, until their rampage was halted by the arrival of a group of Autobots intent on reviving Optimus Prime. They retreated temporarily before resuming their attack, only for the revived Optimus to rout them off the planet. Throttle and High Test then found themselves willing accomplices to the Mechanibals of Grand Central Space Station, until, surprise, surprise, Autobot Pretenders showed up, and the dastardly pair were trounced by Skylynx. The Pretenders, Landmine and Cloudburst, eventually snitched the true nature of the Nebulons, and Dreadwing was forced to flee in the face of irate Mechanibals. They then fell under Scorponok's command on Earth in a series of UK adventures that saw them frozen together in Dreadwing form, stealing a floppy disk containing a copy of Optimus Prime's mind, running afoul of Autobot Powermaster Getaway, joining with Cybertron-based resurgent Decepticon leader Megatron to collect the remains of the underbase exploded Starscream, joining with Megatron's Micromasters to battle resurrected Autobot Pretenders Grimlock, Bumblebee, and Jazz, and finally watching Megatron's base explode, with their leader and Ratchet inside. The pair returned front and center when Primus recalled all Transformers back to Cybertron for a final battle with Unicron. Darkwing and Dreadwind ended up joining their old nemesis Cloudburst in the attack on the Chaosbringer's face. Both Decepticons survived the event, and Darkwing was in the crowd surrounding Optimus Prime's body as it lay dying following Unicron's defeat. Afterward, the pair joined Bludgeon's faction, leaving the destabilized Cybertron to hunt Autobot remnants across the galaxy, and eventually found their way to Clo, where they killed their one-time foil Getaway. They made no further appearance during the events on Clo, but presumably left with Bludgeon into exile following the resurgence of Action Master Optimus Prime. Darkwing would eventually reappear in the Generation 2 comic without Dreadwind, still under Bludgeon's command, and took part in an attack designed to draw out Optimus Prime, only for that tactic to backfire spectacularly when Megatron appeared. Darkwing was badly damaged by Megatron in defense of Bludgeon, but, following the battle, was rebuilt into a much stronger body, his Generation 2 toy design, minus the mini-jet version of Dreadwind, that was instrumental in the resurgent Decepticon leader's attack on Tychos. He apparently played no role in the final battles and did not appear again. Darkwing and Dreadwind appeared early on in the IDW 2005 run with an appearance in Spotlight Blaster, where they were part of the Decepticon push on Thunderhead Pass under the command of Razorclaw and the Predacons. Much later, they appeared in Stormbringer, where the pair were in charge of infiltration on the planet Nebulos in a nod to their original appearances. Their cell was comprised of Thrust, Skullcruncher, Crankcase, Ruckus, and Road Grabber, with the infiltration still in the early stages when Thunderwing touched down on the planet and proceeded to decimate it in both his normal and ultra modes. Knowing that they stood no chance, the pair sent out their subordinates to save face when Megatron inevitably looked at the after-action reports and then faced the rogue Decepticon scientists themselves. They continued to fight until the last member of their group was deactivated, then escaped. Even later still, the pair apparently heeded the call when Starscream usurped Megatron and called all loyal Decepticons to his asteroid hideout following the events of All Hail Megatron. Morale and supplies ran so low that Darkwing chose to flee the dejected squabble, leaving his partner Dreadwind to the tender mercies of the Predacons. After stealing Energon rations, a posse, comprised of Needlenose, Shrapnel, Kickback, and Pounce, chased down the fleeing Dreadwind and executed him, further disgracing him after the fact by cannibalizing his body for parts and Energon.
New Transformers are here. Micromaster Transformers.
Our new commandos can go where no other Transformers can go.
What are they?
Micromasters. Why don't we have them?
Now Autobots and Decepticons have Micromasters.
Micromasters are smaller and faster Transformer commandos that go where nobody else goes. Micromaster Transformers. They've got the power to surprise.
New Micromasters in patrols of 4. Collect them all.
So here we are at the end with these very nice figures of two relatively obscure characters in the G1 universe. I'm not exactly certain that they got their due in Power of the Primes, but you know what? For obscure characters, I'm going to take what I can get. Darkwing and Dreadwind are an inseparable pair that had some pretty memorable adventures in the Generation 1 Marvel comic, and you can't have one without the other. My issues with these characters with these toys, really just come down to the fact that they are Power of the Primes. It's the fact that concessions had to be made in their toys simply because they had to combine. And whatever. You know what? That's fine. It's fine. Like I said, I'm happy that we got them at all. So anyway, thank you very much for joining me for this partner to my previous Transformers Valentine's Day special on the Battle Chargers. We have these quasi-combining Target Masters, and I hope that you've enjoyed seeing what they had to offer and seeing their combined mode for these Power of the Primes figures. I am crossing my fingers that we will get updated versions of these figures in Age of the Primes. I think that it is very doable to retool a lot of different Age of the Prime figures into these figures. Predominantly Silverbolt, as I previously mentioned. And now that we've got Nexus coming out, which we know is a modular chest plate if you turn the torso around, they could very easily do these two characters. Would they want to? That's an entirely different story. Who actually remembers these figures? Who actually remembers these characters? They were huge, chunky, I guess, electronic Powermasters in G1 that transformed into a floppy, weird, heavy brick of a superjet that really was just the back end of one and the front end of the other flipped up and then smashed together. For what they are, I'm happy that we got these. For what these are, I'm happy with them as toy. What do you think of these updates of Darkwing and Dreadwind? Are you wowed by their combined mode in Power of the Primes? Do you even remember these characters from the Transformers comics? You let me know in the comments. Well, as always, if you enjoyed this video, please think about liking the video and subscribing to the channel so you'll know when the next video drops. And consider sharing this video on any particular platform that you like, because we do like increased traffic for the channel. I'm going to keep rolling out Transformers videos, and hopefully you have found this informative and entertaining. I've been Phantom. This has been The Shelves Have Eyes. Have a good day, y'all.
Transformers! robots who fight in disguise. Transformers, when the battle is through, only the strong will survive. Till all I want, unknown soul.